Welcome to EP Daily. Today on the show, we catch an itsy bitsy Spider-Man in the rundown.
Plus, we go deeper into the Star Wars universe and meet the keeper of the holocron, Leland Cheat.
And then we sacrifice a few tasty villagers with a review of Broken Age Act 2.
Is that me from the past?
No, Dad. This is Alex.
Also coming up, Jose and Ben get into some boss battles in the new game Titan Souls. Then we have even bigger boss battles with a look back at the Eco and Shadow of the Colossus collection, and much more today on EP Daily. Brought to you by EB Games. I'm your host, Victor Lucas, bringing you the latest in everything cool every single day. My spidey senses are tingling. I may need an ointment, but instead, I've got the rundown. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is getting animated in one of his new movies. Sony Pictures is working on a new Spider-Man animated film, which is being made alongside the new live-action film that they're co-producing with Marvel. The animated film will take place in a separate universe, so it won't be the same version of the web-slinging do-gooder. Best of all, it's being co-written and produced by the Lego Movie directors Phil Lord and Chris Miller. The animated Spider-Man movie will swing into theaters in 2018. The new live-action film, which takes place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, arrives in 2017, and that new version of the character will debut in Captain America's Civil War in 2016. Yup, we're getting lots of Spidey over the next few years. And that's not the only new thing Marvel fans have to look forward to. Marvel Entertainment is teaming up with Telltale Games to create a new adventure video game series. They haven't said what it will be about, but if Telltale's previous games are any indication, expect it to have an intricate story that lets players take control of several different Marvel characters. All of the existing heroes and villains are up for grabs, including the Avengers, but we'll have to wait to find out more. Telltale is most famous for creating story and character-driven adventures based on huge properties like The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, and they have a distinct comic book-inspired visual style, which seems appropriate for Marvel. The new game, whatever it is, will debut in 2017. All right, we've got a lot to talk about in today's rundown. Here to help me with that is Marissa Roberto. Big Marvel news all the way around here, huh?
Sure. Well, we've been having a Marvel fiesta as of late, especially with the Avengers movie that we saw.
Yes, we have.
Still can't say anything about.
Yeah, well, Marvel wants to make sure that the party keeps on rocking. I think this is a great move to work with Telltale Games. What do you want to see out of a Marvel-Telltale collaboration?
That's really tough. Well, since I've been watching a lot of Paul Rudd lately in Ant-Man, I would like to see a lot of that, just because, you know what, I don't know a lot about Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And I know that Paul's going to bring a lot to this, but if they could get Paul Rudd's likeness and his voice in this game, I'm all over it.
That would be really cool. I guess it's coming out in 2017, so that's a long ways away. So Ant-Man would have to be a huge hit. I think what they might use this for is an opportunity to bring us new properties and new content around characters that are still in the pipeline. A little Doctor Strange, a little Black Panther, a little Captain Marvel, that kind of stuff, to get us to know those characters quite well. But I think Telltale's got a big history with a lot of violent material and some pretty mature themed material. This would be a pretty cool tack for them to go off and make Defenders kind of series with Daredevil and Elektra and
They might just do
Punisher.
Avengers, though.
They might just do Avengers. That would be the safe bet.
Yeah, it's a safe bet, so they might just do that.
Yeah, now
It's fine, it'll still be good, I'm sure.
talking about safe bets, a Spider-Man animated movie. It's like from the department of why hasn't this happened before, right?
Right, yeah. I'm not over the moon about it. I think it will be great, and I'm sure I will enjoy it when we go. But I don't know, I feel like I still need a break from Spider-Man. I still feel like I need more time away from him.
Those two amazing movies were just not that amazing.
No.
You know, between the two of them, there was, you know, some really cool stuff to maybe make one good movie.
Definitely.
But yeah, they kind of dropped the ball, and I think the Spider-Man sort of hype balloon is a little deflated right now.
Yeah.
I guess we're going to see him in Civil War, so maybe that will sort of, you know, raise the spirits of everybody and get us psyched for an animated thing.
I guess I could go for another Peter Parker, Gwen Stacy love story situation, because that was great. That's what held the movie together for me with the second one. So.
And I'm sure they're going to go in the MJ direction this time.
Yeah.
But the animated thing, I think that sort of gives Phil Lord and Chris Miller a lot of freedom to do whatever they want.
Which I'm so excited for.
Yeah.
I totally believe in these guys, so whatever they put out there, I'm sure I'll enjoy.
Well, it's going to be an interesting few years for us superhero fanatics. But right now, we got to switch over to Star Wars for our Star Wars fanatics out there. We've got the keeper of the holocron, Leland Cheat.
Mr. Leland Shee, talking about Star Wars. We're here at Star Wars Celebration. What does it mean for you to get to come to something like Celebration?
Well, it's fantastic to get a chance to see what all the fans do. We have such amazing fans that create so much of the content here, whether it's costumes, whether it's props. I mean, it's incredible.
Now, when people hear Leland Shee, Keeper of the Holocron, what exactly does that mean? How difficult is your job to make sure that everything is staying intact?
It's definitely gotten a lot more difficult because we've got a lot of content coming out. We're working on movies, we're working on TV shows, we're working on books, we're working on video games. So there is a lot of content that's being created at the same time. Some of it's coming out right away, sometimes it's coming out later. That's the biggest challenge, is that taking this content that's coming from all over. And then the cool part is, since we are exposed to all this different new content, we can find out, hey, we can connect this content to this content. And we can create a transmedia program that just crosses all different types of platforms, and it's all part of the same story, so it's great.
It's like you have the job of putting together the biggest Star Wars puzzle known to mankind.
Essentially, yes. So for those who might not know, the Holocron is the name of an internal database that we have that keeps track of all characters, all vehicles, all planets that we create in Star Wars lore, so that moving forward, we can use that content elsewhere. So if we have a planet that appears in a movie, well, we'll know all about that planet and then can use that in a book. Well, conversely, we can have something that starts in a video game and then apply that to a TV show.
It's just awesome when everything mingles together like that. Is that something that is extremely difficult to do, or is it the fact that...
It's definitely ambitious, and it's definitely something that no other brands do. I mean, when you have other brands, the comics have their own universe, and then the movies will be a separate thing. Or the books will have their universe, and a TV series will be a different thing. Star Wars is unique when all those things are part of the same universe, and we're trying to tell one large story.
For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic. Before the Dark Times. Before the Empire.
What's the craziest thing you would say you've uncovered?
We're involved at the earliest stages of when this stuff is being developed, so I'll know way ahead of time before this stuff gets out. There might have been some early stuff from the Marvel comics that came out in the 70s, 80s. I mean, they had like little rabbits that were telepathic. That's a little bit crazy. We try not to go as crazy with the new stuff that we're creating, but you know what? Sometimes crazy is kind of cool.
Catch a deep breath. It'll be the last fresh air you'll get for a while.
What would you say is the most fascinating thing you've had to explain within the Star Wars world that people have been, that you always hear this question over and over again, but you know the answer to?
Obviously, the thing that's on top of mind right now is the whole notion of expanding universe, becoming legends, and the new canon. We understand the love that people had for the expanding universe. I mean, I'm a fan myself. We're all fans of it. What we're going to have to try to do is find out where we can take what we created there, and if there's any opportunities to use it in the new material, we'll definitely explore those areas, and then we'll take it from there.
A very nice man with a very important job.
Yeah, that Holocron isn't going to keep itself, you know.
It's very true. Listen, when we come back, we have the mighty Titan Souls getting a review after this. Welcome back to EP Daily. This next game either looks beautiful or incredibly ugly, depending on your point of view.
Yeah, of course, you're talking about Titan Souls, and that's right. People either think it's gorgeous or hideous, just like the actor Danny Trejo.
Or like the television host Scott C. Jones.
Ooh, burn, super burn,
I
super
know.
burn.
We broke our friends Ben and Jose out of the mothballs for this review.
Ben and I have decided to take a look at a game that is supposed to be one of the hardest games you can play nowadays. This is Titan Souls, which is available on Steam, PlayStation 4, and the PS Vita. Ben, you like hard games. What'd you think of Titan Souls?
Well, it's got Souls in the title. That gets me excited. I'm thinking...
Makes me nervous.
Dark Souls? Is this going to be Demon Souls?
Titanfall?
What are we going to get? And no, it's not a Souls game, even though it's got Souls in the title. It's not Titanfall, even though it's got Titan in the title. This is its own game. This is kind of a retro-looking game. Obviously, it's got 8-bit graphics. You're seeing it right now. And it actually has more in common with games like Shadow of the Colossus than any of the Dark Souls games, because it's all about taking down epic bosses.
And that's all it is. I mean, it's boss fight after boss fight after boss fight after boss fight. Every enemy in the game is a boss, which is kind of crazy. But there is the fact that you only have one bit of health and one arrow.
Yes.
That's it.
You're basically the wimpiest hero in the history of video games.
Yeah.
You've got no
Like Link with
weapons.
half a heart.
Yeah, I mean, you've got one shot at killing these things. Now, you can call your arrow back, sort of
Summon it back.
like Thor. You do that thing, and here comes your hammer, but it's not a hammer, it's your arrow, and then you can shoot it again. And it's really all about learning where the weak point is for each boss, and then figuring out how to dodge its bazillion projectiles, all of its crazy moves, and getting to that one area where you have like a split second where you can shoot this arrow into its ass, or into its face,
Or into its eye.
or its face that looks like an or whatever, because they're really kind of creepy. Some of them get really
There's
weird.
that face.
And that's really all the game's about. And that kind of sounds a little boring until you start playing it and you realize it's challenging more than boring. It's a hard game.
There's no set path for you to go on, and you don't have to go to the fire area, then the ice area. It's you never really get any stronger. You always have that one health and that one arrow. You can just explore into every area that's open and go ahead and fight a boss.
Yeah, I kind of had mixed feelings about that though, because I love the non-linearity. I love that you can kind of choose where you want to go. There really aren't many gates. There's a gate initially when you kill the first 4 bosses to get into the harder part of the game, but then you can kind of wander around. I kind of felt like after killing some of these bosses though, the screen would light up. I would suck in all their
gain something,
souls.
you're like,
Look at
yeah.
me! Look, I'm floating in the air like Magneto, and I land, and all I've got is my one arrow again and my one health again, and I haven't gotten any abilities. There's something so rewarding about fighting these bosses that are so badass. And that moment where you shoot it, that moment of like, I gotta pull the arrow back now and shoot it, otherwise I'm gonna die. And it kind of slows you down and slows time down when you do that. And it's a really rewarding experience. And not a lot of games can pull that off. This game managed to do it. That's why I'm giving it an 8 out of 10.
I'm right there with you. 8 out of 10 from me.
Great to see those guys, and I totally agree. I love boss battles.
I know you do. You love to stick it to the man.
Yeah, take that,
That's why we
man.
got this classic from the EP Vault.
Oh no, this is.
Oh, this is, my friend. It is time for Shadow of the Colossus and Eco Collection.
Oh, this is truly one of the greats. I'm a big fan of the PlayStation 2, one of my favorite consoles of all time.
Probably still the best console ever made so far.
I would not disagree with you. And we're talking about 2 games packaged onto one Blu-ray disc today. It's Eco, coupled with Shadow of the Colossus.
Go
Can
and
you
get
believe
this. Go get it.
Okay, good night,
Just,
everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving this
Nice
a 10.
talking to
I'm
you.
telling you that right now. This is unbelievable that they're.
But let me say this.
Okay.
What if you've played them and finished them both
Get it.
already?
Go get them.
Why?
Check them out in HD. This is beautiful stuff. They've been up-resed. They have much more detail in the
Still-
background. They could look better for
They're
sure.
dated.
They weren't created with HD in mind. This was almost 10 years ago, so these games.
They were already both incredibly beautiful experiences.
They were. 2 of the best looking PS2 games.
I just can't believe that these are considered last generation games. Especially in Shadow of the Colossus, which is easily in my top 5 favorite games of all time.
This is poetry, this game. This is a poem that we're able to interact
I don't
with
like
and
to
play.
use the word poetry when
or
talking
art.
about video games.
Oh, come on, I mean, look at
Art.
this thing. It's gorgeous. It really is. Like, it's not about accomplishment. It's not about leveling up. It's about restoring the life of your fallen loved one. You really feel like you are brought into this mythology, brought into this fiction, and I love that. And it's all about understatement.
I'm gonna go through this time and I'm gonna finish
And I
it.
know exactly how you're going to feel at the end. You're going to want a lot more. That's how beautiful the game was. When you complete the game, it just leaves you with that emptiness, like, oh my God, I just want to keep experiencing this. And that's why it's so incredible to have them repackaged like this and brought out with all of this TLC. And I mean, there is a big mystery about when we are actually going to get The Last Guardian.
I want it to come out so Ben Silverman will be quiet about it for
I know.
a minute.
Well, I want
Just
it too,
for,
man.
Just for a minute.
In the meantime, every PS3 owner in the world
I
should
don't
pick
feel
this
like,
game up.
and I know a lot of us gamers, we talk about these games and they're obviously landmark moments for us, but I still feel like you can't ever give these games enough credit.
No, these are 2 of the most
And I
important
feel like
video games ever created.
There are still people out there who haven't experienced
I know.
these 2 games.
They didn't sell either one of them.
Yeah, they're weird games for sure. They're not going to grab everybody. Your mom's not going to want to play this game. But man alive, these are experiences that you will never forget.
I think it's incredible that we finally have a fully HD version of this experience. Really gorgeous.
The thing that I say on the show a lot is I want to feel something different when I play video games.
and
These
both
are
of
2
these do.
games that really take me places and make me feel things that no book or movie or any other form of media has ever made me feel.
What are you going to give the collection?
10 out of 10.
10 from me as well.
There you go.
Go get these.
Very few people know this, but the final boss in Shadow of the Colossus, get ready for this, put on your seatbelts, it's Cher.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
interesting.
Can't beat her.
Interesting. Listen, after
always
the
wins.
break, Rick and I put on a pot of coffee because we stayed up all night to review Broken Age Act 2.
Here I am, merciful King Mog Chopra, over here. No, this way, Great One. I am the one you've come so far to find.
Welcome back to EP Daily. A long time ago, we once lived in a time where there were no cell phones and there was no Photoshop to make everybody more beautiful. It was a broken age, and game developer Tim Schafer made a game about it. Now Broken Age Act 2 is here. Vic and Marmar Binks have the review.
If you have not played Broken Age Act 1, I feel like you should stop right now because we're going to talk about Broken Age Act 2.
Yeah.
And you're going to see some footage here that might be a bit of a spoiler just because if you don't know how the Broken Age Act 1 ends, then this is going to surprise you. But I know this is your first experience with Broken Age, so I kind of want to get your take overall.
Yeah, because we had to play through Act 1 to
Yeah.
get into Act 2,
Yeah.
and I remember you guys both saying how short it felt. In the context of things, you end up spending time in the game, but it's padding the length of the game because once you start to get the groove on this esoteric, weird stuff that you have to do to progress through this adventure game, because this is a classic Tim Schafer adventure-style title that was kickstarted into creation. It's so charming, and there's lots of funny bits in there, and Elijah Wood is in there, and I think Jack Black has and he's very funny, and there's lots of little funny, cutesy lines. But Act 1 did feel very short, and so Act 2, we've waited for a long time. It's finally here, and it does make the game feel complete and worth it.
Totally.
But I have to say that I wasn't so invested in the charming creations that they built for us, the Shay and Vella's world. This wasn't Grim Fandango for me, and this wasn't even a Monkey Island game for me.
That's fair. I think they had to make this game to appeal to a broader audience, and I feel like they did with this one because I feel like I could share this one with anyone, especially with the animations and the stories here and the characters. I feel like really anybody could hold on to it, especially in the first act because the puzzles there seem pretty simple. Now, as soon as we get into the second act, people are invested in the game, and you're going to be expecting a little bit more, and the puzzles do get harder in Act 2. Like, even off the top, I could not get this one puzzle. I'm still trying to figure out this one puzzle. It's driving me nuts. But the beauty of it is that you can drop that one character and pick up the other character and play throughout the entire story of that one character.
Well, and that is the cool thing, is you're playing as Shay and Vella, and their plots interweave, even though it feels like they are on fully distinct adventures, and you can't figure out how the heck are they going to be coming together. And then when they do come together, this nonsensical story that's already been developing just escalates by like 100-fold, and it's just like, what is happening? I have no idea how they conceived this crazy plot. I mean, there's spaceships in volcanoes, monsters become something other than what they are.
Here I am, merciful King Mog Chopra, over here. No, this way, Great One. I am the one you've come so far to find.
There are some moments where I just felt like, okay, like I know I have to do this now. This is kind of boring, but I'll do it anyway.
And there is a little bit of this. It just feels a little stretched out. And I think it's because of the fiction just not being as funny and as charming as it could be. I'm glad that it exists. I think it's a well-done, competent game. I love the art style. There's a lot of artistry on display here. It's just not my favorite of these adventure-type titles.
That's fair, but it is a complete game now that you can pick up, which is lovely. And you can play it on PS4, which is great too. I love the fact that I can use my controller, and it works quite seamlessly with the game.
Yeah, it's going to be everywhere. I'm going to give it a 7. How about you?
It gets an 8 for me.
And they lived happily ever after. The end. And listen, coming up after the break, we've got the TQOD after this.
If you want more EP, go to our website, epn.tv, for bonus content and full episodes. We're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to EP Daily. It's time now for the best part of today's show. It is the Twitter question of the day. This one comes from Dane Schultz. He's at GameGenie64.
63 must have been taken.
Must have been. Okay, he asked, do you think pre-orders on games are the reasons we see so many games needing day one large patches to fix them?
No, I don't think you can blame it on pre-orders. I think pre-orders are part of the publishers wanting to make as much money as they can to recoup their heavy investment, because these games cost a fortune now to make. And I think patches are really more to do with the always-on nature of games these days, with DLC and internet-connected entertainment that's constantly being tweaked and changed. You know, developers are racing to get these things out the door, for sure. That's still happening. But there's also a lot of threads that have to kind of be managed, and I can't imagine the complexities involved with all of this stuff. And so I think day one patches they're just a part of the reality of games these days.
Now, yes, I think Dane just misses the days of cartridges.
Yep, I do too. I do too. But those games were very, very simple. This is a totally different era, and I think we just have to
ball game out there.
Yes, it is. But we can help you, stay up to date on all of this stuff by staying tuned with us at EPN.TV.
We have more coming for you in an upcoming episode of EP Daily, including a look at Guitar Hero Live.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
EP would like to thank its sponsors, Nintendo, Xbox. EP's mobile coverage is brought to you by Gameloft, makers of Dragon Mania Legends, which you can play for free right now.
We used robot camera was the starting point. So a thing called a Mocom rig, which is like this giant robot arm that zooms around on the stage, and it kind of does the same move every single time. We then built these bands ourselves, so we auditioned band members and brought them in, and then we had between 200 and 400 people in the crowd for each one. And the robot camera, because it does the same thing every time, it means that we could do like a positive pass and a negative pass, and then we'd have green screen behind everything. And we clear the band off stage, we do it all again, but we move the crowd back and move the crowd back. So like the first 5,000 people are all real people. They're just the same 400 people in different outfits and moved around. So that's the kind of short version of how we did it.